Hi folks, in my series we will dig deeper into RV repairs, hacks and tips without getting too technical, but a lot of common sense. How many times have you pulled into a campground and seen one of these signs? I'll give you some tips on how to make this day or night easier. This is a normal water setup in your campground. Now, we've got a cold weather snap going on right now. And we've had people complaining that they don't have water. Well, we have two problems in this picture that you need to really think about when you go into a campground and it's going to be cold. The first one is the big blue filter. That really needs to come out. That's a lot of surface area that will get cold overnight and freeze up. Now, I don't see this problem near as often as I see this problem. This is the pressure regulator that everybody wants to have to protect their rig from the campground pressure. Well, that's made of brass, and that brass will transmit cold into the water right away. So this being a heated hose, which is typical, it doesn't do anything for this. The campground has heat tape here. I have heat on my water line, but I don't have it on here. This will freeze. Many times I find campers having problems with this. Take it out and either go without the regulator, or there's one other thing you can do, and that would be to wrap it with an insulation if it's not too cold. You can wrap it with an insulation. I've got the Reflectix here. You could use anything, fiberglass insulation or anything like that, to help protect this, because that will freeze. Now, if you let your water trickle overnight, it will do a lot better, but it still can freeze up. Alright, so I'm going to put some thread tape on. You've got to put it on in the same direction that you're going to be threading or tightening the connection, so that as you thread it on, it doesn't wad up underneath. Usually 2.5 to 3 turns is about what is taken. Sometimes you'll get a stubborn one that'll take a lot more. Make sure that your gasket inside the garden hose is in there, because that can also be a problem. If you don't have one of those, it's going to leak. We've all done it. And tighten that up just a touch with the pliers. Because I'm stationary for so long, I've just make sure it's good and tight and turn it back on. Now, I've checked with the owners of the campground, and I know what the pressure is in this campground, so I don't need the pressure regulator. They're on a well and they're running 45 pounds of pressure, so I don't have to have the pressure regulator. So here's my Reflectix that I'm going to put around my fitting, just so that I know I don't have any problems. I don't even have the pressure regulator in there, but I do like to keep that connection wrapped up, because that is the weak point in my water system. And I am a MacGyver when it comes to electrical tape. I like electrical tape about as well as duct tape. So there you have it. That should keep everything good down to a very cold temperature. Okay, this is the inside of a typical fifth wheel water station. You can see my hot water hose running up to the fitting with a bronze 90 degree fitting on it. And in the bottom I have insulation to keep the wind from blowing up. The one thing that I will do when it's really cold out is I will take some insulation like I have here, and I just lay it over the top of this to help keep the heat from the rig going up against the pipes and not have that brutal cold up against the water hoses. So I'm going to set up here and show you what you can do if you really want to have your water filter and also your pressure regulator. So I'll turn it back on here in a moment. So all that I've done here is connected my pressure regulator to the hose inside of the compartment with the filter, and then connected on with like a 3-foot section of water hose. That would probably be good down probably into the 20s, maybe into the lower teens. And then I would, once again, I would cover that up with the insulation to help protect that. So one last aspect of camping in the winter or in cold spring weather would be your dump. And I have mine wrapped with a heat tape that is very long, and I've never had any trouble with doing it this way. I've been in negative 15 degrees and we've never had any problem with our dump freezing up. I will show you a real quick picture up underneath the rig that I have wrapped the valves and all the exposed plumbing that is on the outside of the rig to keep that thawed out also. So here's where the black water tank comes out and into the drains, and I've got it wrapped with my extra long heat tape that I have. I mentioned that I had it wrapped around the valves. I forgot that this rig has the valves on the inside, so I do not have it wrapped around valves, but I do have it wrapped all the way over to where it comes down and goes on out to the flexible hose. Never had a problem. So here's an extra tip. If you need an extra outlet for a heat tape or a heater underneath your rig, there's an easy way to do that. If you've got 30 amps also on your power pole, use your 30 amp adapter and plug into that and you're good to go. Don't forget to turn on the breaker. Okay folks, thanks a lot for watching my video. I hope maybe I helped clear up a few things on wintertime water lines, and hope you hit subscribe and like down below.